Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Online Darts Fallout Bar as we come to the end of night 4, or day 4, because we had a couple of day sessions in there as well, of the 2025 PDC Grand Slam of Darts. Dan Simpson here, joining you from up in Teesside, and I am joined once again by the Welsh correspondent, Mr. Carwyn Evans. Carwyn, how are you this evening?
I'm very well, thanks. Yeah, another really good night of darts. Nice with the sort of last round of the group games. For so many games to have something on it, it adds that bit of spice to these group games. How are you up there in the northeast?
Yeah, all is well. It's bloody pouring down. It's grim. It's feeling very autumnal at the moment up here. You know, there's everywhere seems to have like knee high in leaves, and it's pouring down, and the roads are closed here and there. But yeah, all is well. And again, like you say, I think I was last night. There is some potential for, day 3 and day 4, these sort of the final group games to underwhelm, because they can be situations where there's not a lot to play for, and then sometimes we don't see, particularly strong performances from those that have gone out of the tournament already, where those games don't mean a lot. But I think across the board tonight we saw some really, really good matches of darts. We saw games where people, even where there was nothing on the line, they sort of played for pride very well, and I think we got a really good session. They played at a gorgeous pace. I thought right throughout the night we rattled through games, and it was an enjoyable night, wasn't it?
Oh, very much so. And I think even those games that might have had nothing on it, the way they've gone has had massive consequences maybe for those that were already through, which I'm sure we'll come on to when we discuss the draw going forward. But good pace all night, as in what wasn't really a poor game, I thought. I think something in every game to make it exciting and very enjoyable, really. So good action all night.
Yeah, and I think, we'll start. We'll do as we always do, and we'll go through things in the order that they happened this evening. And this is a game where I've made no secret about my predictions for Danny Noppert to be a semi-finalist in this event. I think Danny is one of the best players on planet darts at the moment. He's playing some absolutely superb stuff. Yes, granted, I didn't think in a million years that we would see this game, or we would go into this game with Johnny Clayton being already out of the tournament and unable to go through. But he did, as I said earlier, players coming and playing for pride, and that was certainly the best version of Johnny Clayton that we've seen this week. And he sort of upset the apple cart a little bit, because, after those first couple of performances from Danny Noppert, I was really confident that he was going to, top the group, 6 points, never in doubt, really. And, especially because he's had a day to sort of reflect on the fact, or 2 days almost to reflect on the fact that he's not really got anything other than a couple of grand bump in here if he can get up the table a bit to play for. But this was I was really impressed by Johnny tonight. I didn't expect it.
No, and to be honest with you, I thought he'd just go through the motions, just get up on that stage, get off, and head back to West Wales. But you've got to feel a bit for Danny Noppert, because you look at his stats and the way he's played, as in bar that last leg where he's had an absolute disaster. He's been strong throughout the game, really. But I think for Johnny, it was important for him to get that win. I think, especially in a group where he'd have probably expected to get through it. Maybe not as winner, because as you say, Danny Noppert has been playing some good stuff, but you'd have definitely expected to have come second, worst case scenario. So for him to prop up the group, really, and that's no disrespect to Cam Crabtree or Lucas Venig. I think it was just one of those where you just thought that the two big household names would make it through the group. But I think Johnny will be pleased, especially after a slow start in this game as well. He sort of grew into it gradually. And that 120, for a man who doesn't like tops, and then he took 76 out, I think, on tops in the very next leg. He was finding tops sort of quite easily tonight.
Yeah, I don't. I think the only concern, I don't think there's anything really to worry about in terms of the performance from Danny Noppert. You know, the 107 average. He's gone 4 from 6 on his doubles. You know, his doubling again was great. The scoring phase of the game was superb. It was, you know, Johnny did the right things at the right time, and he managed to just get that win. It does, and we'll come on to it a little bit later on, but it does have a large effect on the draw because it's that different. They are very different games that were on offer. If you came first or second in this little mini league, and yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity for Danny because again, I had him. I thought he was going to sail through, and I think things certainly with what we're going to talk about a little bit later has got a little bit tougher. But yeah, I do agree. I think Johnny did well. I think it's got to be a tough thing to get up for, especially when you haven't got you've got a day in between where other games are going on. You've got to stay in a hotel for another night, and you've got to hang around, knowing that you are just getting back in the car, win, lose or draw. You know, I think it's tough, but you know, it shows the level of professionalism that we know Johnny's got anyway. And I think it's an important time of year to finish with a good win over a big player, isn't it? Because there's an awful lot of darts upcoming, and I think he'll have took a little bit from that.
Oh, definitely. And I think as well, because obviously nobody wants to talk about the Premier League, but everybody does talk about the Premier League at this time of year. And Johnny's name's been one that's been mentioned as a possible making it through. So I think getting that win tonight, hopefully, for his point of view, sort of springboards the rest of the year for him and gets his name in contention. As in, I think had he have lost this game as well, it would have been quite tough for him to pick himself back up with sort of all the darts coming between now and the new year. So at least it gives him something to build on, especially because when you look at the stats, he shouldn't have won that game really, but stats don't win matches.
No, correct. I mean, quite right. They certainly don't, and this is very, you know, that opening game is very evident of that. We move on. We move on to the second game of the night, and I'm quite pleased that this is one that yesterday evening I managed to predict. And is this, you know, after those first couple of performances from Bo Greaves, you know, we've had a 101.5 average and a 102.5 average, and whilst the average wasn't there today that we've seen earlier. But was this a bit of indication, do you think, from Bo Greaves that, you know, she certainly does belong at this table, so to speak, and you know, she was very unlucky to not pick a win up in those first two games, and I think she's done well again to come back, knowing the situation, and pick up a win this evening.
Oh, definitely, and I think what you had in this game was one player probably gutted not to have turned one of those 5-4s in a win, and another player so relieved to get through that I don't think, obviously he wants to win this game, but at the same time, the result isn't important because he's already done the hard work. As things have panned out, losing this game might be the best result Nico Springer's had in the Grand Slam so far. Not to give any spoilers away to anybody who hasn't watched any dance tonight, but yeah, I think Bo definitely deserved it, and that 134 was something special. And I think to anybody who's questioned how she'll do on tour, I think you've only got to look at her performance across the week. Yes, she's lost 2 games 5-4, but as average 102 across both those games. And then when the average hasn't been up at that level, she's got enough in the tank to win. And ultimately, if you pick up wins when you're not playing great or when you're not playing your best, you're going to do okay on the tour. And I think, yeah, everybody who's watched all the Grand Slam would probably have been very happy with Bo getting this win because, yeah, I think she's been great entertainment, good value, and she's pushed to up there with the greatest players we've ever seen play the game. So it's not like she's lost to an up and coming star or somebody who's just floating around. She's the games she's lost has been against multiple world champions.
Yeah, like I say, I think it was just, the important thing, I think, whether she got through the group or not, was to make sure that she picked a win up on that stage and made sure that it was a positive experience. She hasn't finished bottom of the group. She has had a good, solid. She's given a very good account of herself. The 2 games that she lost, she plays superbly, and the other one she won. So, what more can you ask for? There are people who've got through playing an awful lot worse than she has this week, and she joins, a long list of quite big, famous, successful players that haven't made it through, and it shows the depth of talent that there is now at the top end of this game. And if you're not at it, then they'll get you. And I just think it's really, really positive to see her picking up a victory on a stage. I think it's really good. The hardest working man in darts, Phil Bars, has been in the venue all night, folks. He's been picking up interviews where he's been able, and we do have, I think it's only quite a short clip, but we do have a clip from Bo Greaves, or from after her victory tonight. So let's see what she had to say after that one.
I just feel confident with my game. Do you know what I mean? I just trying to get through it, and be just after my talk card and that. I'm looking forward to it, and that I don't really like the hype around all of it. I don't really want people talking about me and that. I just want to get on with it. Do you know what I mean? I don't need other people to tell me I'm not ready and stuff like. I know that. Do you know what I mean? I know I'm not ready for the big leagues and stuff. So that's just down to me and my family to get through. Do you know what I mean? No one else. And yeah, just play and enjoy.
She does, and I'm going to use it. I'm going to use the phrase that I've spent a lot of time using about Luke Littler, because I've always been astounded by for a guy that's achieved everything that he's had, and the impact that he's had in the game, and the sheer amount of attention that he gets and how much he gets talked about. I've always been impressed with the maturity at which he speaks and how measured he is, and the way he picks and chooses to either mention certain things or to shut other things down. And again, I just think it was a quite well-informed, quite mature, wise interview after a good few games, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think what's obvious is sort of both Luke and Bo, they've had a good support network around them growing up, and they've taught them sort of right and wrong, and I guess be respectful and just don't let things distract you, because when things distract you, things don't go to plan. As in, they haven't won all the tournaments they've won because they've listened to other people. They've just got on and let their darts do the talking. And I think, yeah, obviously, Bo she'd love a crack at the Premier League, but she's also realistic in knowing that it won't be next year, and she's got a lot of work to do. But I think you get these conversations happening now, don't you, where somebody does something spectacular in a tournament and somebody says, oh, they'd be a good addition to the Premier League, where really give Bo a chance on tour. Let's see what she can do, because obviously there's different pressures from playing in the Grand Slam, but it's a bit of a free hit for her to when she's actually next year earning a living playing as a professional darts player on tour.
And becoming more and more used to it. And also people becoming used to seeing her. I use this phrase, again, with the greatest of respect, because I think she's an amazing player. But to many people watching, Bo is there's still a novelty side of seeing her on that big stage, isn't there? There are people that, that they still are in that sort of almost Fallon Cherokee era of, oh, look, there's a female winning on TV. And I think that we just need to, move past it. And the way that we move past it is to make everybody just becoming used to it being normal, which is without a shadow of a doubt in my mind what we are going to continue to see from Bo Greaves. We are going to see her. We're not going to see her once a year at the World Championships, and we're going to see her regularly feature on televised events, because I think she will be strong enough on tour yes, it will take a bit of time, because everybody starts at zero, and you've got it's not a case, let's be honest, that what was done last year by Luke Littler coming, storming onto the tour and qualifying for the match play. And it's not normal, and it's a bit unfair to everybody else to then have to be compared to that, because you are looking at a once in a generation achievement, and then expecting everyone that comes through, measuring them on whether they can replicate that, and I don't think it's particularly fair. And like you say, I just think let's see her on tour as a professional player, playing the floor events, qualifying for things, normalizing the fact that she's turning up for these TV events and winning on them, and then let's see how she can kick on from there. I think is what we all need to do.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of going to be the proof, really. Is how she does perform on the floor when she hasn't got the crowd, or her opponent maybe hasn't got the crowd booing every time they throw a dart. Don't get me wrong, I think she's more than capable of holding her own and going deep in these floor tournaments. But that's where you earn your bread and butter, and that's when we'll see how good of a professional darts player she can potentially be.
Yeah, without a doubt. Moving on, because we'll refer back to some of these games a little bit later on, because we'll get to. I don't want to quite get to like table ends yet, because there's obviously more to talk about. A game here where nothing on the line, and I suppose for both players this must have been a little bit of a challenging one to get up for, but again, it was just. It's Luke Littler proving once again that if you don't bring your best, he'll just have you and he'll have you in sort of second gear. Really, he won't have to really go through the gears. Unless you come at him with a ton plus average, he'll just get rid of you, won't he?
Yeah, and that's it. And it's often I probably describe Luke Littler's game as the poorest one to watch in an evening, but it sort of felt like. We all knew Littler was going to win comfortably. It just depended, I guess, how much of a fight Daryl Gurney put up. And after the Sedlacek loss, it just felt like stuffing got taken out of Daryl Gurney a bit, and he just sort of came to play this game because he had to, but sort of never looked like sort of pushing Littler to a place where we'd see the best version of Littler either, unfortunately.
No, because it allowed Littler to clart around, didn't it?
Yeah.
It allowed him to clart around. And that's when he's completely at ease, and he knows there's no pressure on him, and it's just about turning up and getting to the line, because there was nothing on him at all. We have got an interview. We've got a few words from Luke Littler. Let's have a little listen and see what he had to say.
Yeah, I was trying to set it up in previous legs, and if I didn't hit the treble 20 and start a leg, I weren't best pleased, because I want to try and hit a 9 as well. But we'll see what happens on Wednesday. Yeah, I think he's going to do very well. I knew for a very long time he was going in there, but yeah, I'm sure he'll do well. And we'll have to vote him and see what he has to eat.
I think this must be one of these young people social media type characters, is it?
Yeah, I think what's his face? Is it Angry Ginge?
Yeah, he's not particularly famous in the Simpson household. I do have to admit, we are.
Right, yeah. So he's one of the coaches on. Is it the Baller League, the new football phenomenon?
Oh right, okay.
He's a big Man United fan, and he's off to the jungle. So
well, he doesn't. They don't feature him much on Radio 4, so he's a bit out of my. He's a bit out on our. Although I am very well aware that Kelly Brook is being featured in the jungle this year, so there is actually half a chance of us tuning in the Simpsons house offer. So we may yet tune in if there's no darts on the telly. Yeah, it's always it's an interesting one, that, because even somebody as culturally relevant as Luke Littler, of course, can't play. He can't go and take part in the Jungle Madness because it's the wrong time of bloody year for him, isn't it? He's got other things to do at that time of year in the run up to Christmas.
Yeah, I guess it depends. What does he want most? To be king of the jungle or king of Ali Pali? So
it's interesting, isn't it? I feel it's not really fair on dart players that it's always that time of year, is it? We could have
exactly. Maybe when after he's won enough world titles, he might take ITV's check as opposed to the PDC's. Who knows?
17, I think he's gonna have to get to, isn't it, before he can. He's gonna have to get to that before he can.
And he'll still be in the jungle before he's 40.
Yeah, exactly. Well, what I'm proposing, Cowan, is a dart player only. I'm a celebrity in the summer. Ooh. We'll have that in the summer, we could
2 weeks off.
Yeah, or let's take 10 players that aren't in the Premier League and run it on Wednesday nights when the Premier League season's on.
Or even better, when they fly out for the World Series down under, just play in the jungle, locked in the jungle for 4 nights.
Yeah, it's a cracking idea. Yeah,
they're already out there.
Right, see. Yeah, ITV, we'll invoice them for that when they do it. Exactly. We've had that idea. Yeah, we've got this recorded. Like, we'll send them an invoice. Right, moving on. Game 4. And finally tonight, and there was a lot. So, again, I'm not complaining. But first time tonight, we had a game where it really mattered. And this was a straight shootout for a place in the next round, but not only a place in the next round, but after the defeat of Danny Noppert from Johnny Clayton earlier, the opportunity to top the group and set up an arguably more winnable game in the second round. And I honestly can't tell you how impressed I have been with Lucas Vennig this week. That this is a man who is really fighting for his tour card. Like, he is on the cusp and he's right on. Like, every pound counts for his tour card at the moment. So as we sit presently in the tour card race, number 64 is Matt Campbell on £85,250. And Lucas Vennig is in 69th position on just shy of 78,000. So this is really, really cool, really important for him. This is an opportunity, this tournament, to continue his career on the Pro Tour. That 167 was impressive, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, and I think that's the one that hurt as well, and it just swung the momentum all towards Lucas, and he didn't look back after that. Don't get me wrong, I think Crabtree will be disappointed with how he's played tonight. I think missed doubles cost him at the wrong time, and maybe the potential of getting out the group was a bit too much pressure on him, but take nothing away from Lucas. I thought he played again, not the best average, but I thought he did everything right at the right time to fully deserve the win and make it through. Well, as you say, as group winner eventually.
Yeah, and I think whilst we've certainly seen a lot more of Cam Crabtree, sort of in around that PDC system, because we've seen, probably 4.5, 5 seasons now on the development tour, and we've seen a lot of success there. But I just think Vennig's been like really good. Like, again, it's about winning darts matches, and I know that we can go in and sort of ultra analyze the level and the averages, if you like, because we've seen 2 88s and a 93, which is it's all right, but like, he's topped the group, and not a huge amount of players that can say that they've topped the group and that they've that they've come through and that, and obviously he's picked the extra money up. Really impressive, and sometimes this is what it takes for a player, isn't it, in order to really give them the kick that they've maybe been missing when they've sort of languished around the tour for a bit of time. And obviously we've had a couple of years of him on tour now. We've not seen a great deal, other than I think like earlier this year in Hildesheim we did have a Pro Tour final from him, but other than sort of one day, then most of the last 2 years is littered with first and second round exits on the Pro Tour, and there's not been a huge amount to celebrate. But Yeah, I just think it was really impressive. And yes, Crabtree underwhelmed a little bit on the doubles. I think that's really where that heavy defeat came from, because I don't think it was a huge difference between them in the terms in the way that they played through the legs. But Cam Crabtree, he lives to fight another day, doesn't he? He's had that experience of being at that tournament, and we'll see him again.
Oh, definitely, and he's also beaten Johnny Clayton in the process, which is something not many. Well, he's battered Johnny Clayton, to be honest, which not many can say they've done this year, especially. So no, again, it's just about getting experience. I know he's mentioned with Phil earlier in the week about how Modus has prepared him for this and that exposure, but it is a different kettle of fish being up there. And with no disrespect to the Modus Super Series, because it is a big earner. The money they're playing for in these games at the Grand Slam as well is massive, and you never know what winning this game and topping the group could do for Lucas Venig's career from here on. We've seen other players get one good run in one tournament, and it saves their tour card. Rob Owen at last year's World Championship, just as one example. So this result could be a career defining one for Lucas Venig going forward.
Yeah, absolutely, and again, that extra $3,500 that dropped in tonight, with that, and he's got Johnny to thank for that, I think, rather than anybody else. But I think, that's going to come in very, very handy. Right, game number 5, and I think it's very, very difficult to not enjoy Connor. Right, Connor Scott I think he's a really decent fella. We've been lucky enough, he's joined us on the live lounge before. We've really seen the development of him, and we've seen him sort of on the cusp of coming and doing something special for some time now. We've seen him quite literally light up events in the WDF. We've seen him be absolutely outstanding in Portsmouth. But to see him now, he has underwhelmed a little bit with the tour card. And I thought he would be flying. I thought he would be where Nico Springer is. I thought, year one of his tour card, comfortably straight up in the top 64, nice and easy, breeze through. And it's been a little tougher for him than I expected. I thought we'd see him really kick on, and I think we're just starting to see it, and he's starting to look every bit a proper PDC pro, isn't he?
Oh, definitely. And I think, for me, the big problem with Connor's been, and I love watching him play, I think he's a great player, I feel like he puts too much pressure on himself, and he gives himself a level of expectancy that if he doesn't reach that level, he's underperformed. Because there was a point tonight in this match where I feared he wasn't going to get the job done, even though I expected him to, and I expected him to get out the group. There was a moment where I just wondered, is he going to be too hard on himself and let it slip? But hopefully he has a good run in the knockouts, because, as you say, he's not done what we expected him to do with the tour card, but he's got plenty of time to turn things around, and he's capable of that as well. I don't think at the moment his ranking reflects how good a player he is and the potential he has to fly up those rankings.
No, I think though, and I do think sometimes we slip into, Connor Scott knows how good Connor Scott is, and he knows what he can do. And I think that's why we see that approach from him sometimes, of thinking that he has underperformed, because he knows he can compete with the very best in the world. He's that good at playing darts. And we almost get dragged along with him sometimes. So, we get sort of convinced of that. But then you think, well, if for most people, you come into the end of your second year on tour when the tour card's up, to be ranked 50th, very comfortable holding the tour card. The tour card's not at risk at all. He's qualified for the Grand Slam. He's playing at the World Championships. Just missed out on the Players Championship finals, which should be disappointed about. But I think that I think he's in a good spot, and you've got to be in it to win it. And I do think the most important thing of that first 2-year cycle with a tour card is making sure you've still got it for year 3. That's the most important thing, because you aren't. If you're expected to build and develop and start to win things and do so, if you're no longer on tour and you can't get it, then you're starting from scratch again. So I think that's the most important thing, is to solidify your position, which he's done. And now we see him starting to move on a little bit, and now we're going to see him playing bigger and bigger names on the TV. And I do think he's going to have to upset. He's going to have to cause a couple of upsets if he's going to go a lot further because of the way the draws panned out. But he's capable. He is very, very capable. He's a cracking player, and I was really impressed with him coming through that one.
Yeah, what I find as well now is that he doesn't seem bothered or flustered with whoever he's playing, because obviously you play Luke Littler, it's easy to get dragged into the occasion and sort of underperform, but nothing seems to faze him. I like the way he sort of conducts himself, as in, I think somebody's mentioned in the comments that is he becoming more animated. I think he is, and I think sometimes you need that. It doesn't have to be to the levels of Gerwyn Price. I think you've just got to do it to the level that suits you, and the level that gets you up for a game, but also keeps you motivated during that game. Because, it's never easy to win on tour and to keep your tour card. I think it's much easier to lose it than to keep it. So get to the end of the year around that 50th mark, then you can build. Then you can start targeting the top 32, and then you can sort of build from there. It's just about keeping on tour, because once you lose the tour card, I think what we're seeing more and more of now is a lot of players not getting it back, because it's that hard to get back on tour at the moment.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to cycle back very quickly, because it was mentioned in the chat room, and I was just waiting for official confirmation, because I've got far too many screens open and my brain doesn't work as quick as it could. People don't really understand how many things I'm doing at once here. But we've had a bit of a late update to darts rankings. They've not been as quick as they normally are. And what it did, I mentioned about Lucas Vennig being just outside, on that tour card race, and Matt Campbell being 64. What that victory this evening and topping the group actually does for Lucas Vennig is it moves him just inside that green area. It moves him into spot number 64. So that moves Matt Campbell out of that top 64. Excuse me, I think I've got a sneeze in me somewhere, and it's going to come in the next minute or two. So if I quickly mute my mic and have a rather elaborate reaction, that's what it is. There's one in the chamber. So just a quick cycle back and update that Lucas Vennig is now within the green. And again, it's far easier, I've always thought, to be within that green area and defending that position than it is to be outside of it, trying to claw your way up it whilst everybody else is picking up money at the same time. So, yeah, he's definitely done an awful lot in the last few days to try and secure that tour card for another year.
Yeah, exactly. There's less pressure on you when you're in the top 64, isn't there? Obviously, there's pressure there, but you're not having to win the game to climb into it. And I think it's much easier looking out than looking in and trying to climb the ladder.
Correct. Right. El Clasico. Now, I expected a lot of things, and I didn't know what we could say. I did say, either one of them could set the world alight, or either one of them could stink the place out, or both could do both. But I think I didn't quite expect this. And even though I went through every possible, this game could be anything. I did not see 108.5 average from Michael van Gerwen, and even Gary Anderson playing decent, not being able to do a thing with him.
Yeah, that's the thing. As in, MVG just turned up and told it, as in he once again figuratively and actually pulled his socks up, and just, I don't know when he last played this well. It was just, he was a man on a mission, determined to not win the game, but as it turns out, top the group, thanks to Bo Greaves doing a favour against Nicholas Springer.
Yeah.
But Yes, it's interesting, isn't it? As in, with everything that's happened in his personal life over the last few months, and also the fact that he's not really thrown darts like this, to do it in this game, which, yeah, people are dubbing the El Clasico or the Grand Slam, I think is very impressive, because not many people make a Gary Anderson 99 average look poor, but it did feel like quite a poor 99 average, and I mean that with the most respect.
No, I agree. Yeah, it didn't. It felt like, because it was the gameplay, like, and it just didn't feel like Gary could do anything with him, because he just kept getting shut out. Where every time there was, Gary would create half chances for himself, but then never actually get a go. Never actually getting to try and see them through, because Michael was just too. He was too at it, and too all. The scoring was phenomenal, to take the words of the great man. It really was impressive, and I think I have to sort of eat humble pie a little bit, because Phil's been saying for ages that he's still got it in him, and I have been a bit dismissive of that, to say but I still maintain I've seen absolutely nothing recently that suggested that was probable. But yeah, hey ho, it's what he produced. He did speak to Phil, because they're pals, and he's had a chat. So we have got a Michael Van Gerwen reaction. So let's have a little listen and see what Michael made of a rather stunning performance.
No. What happened in the past is in the past. You always need to look to the future. And for me, the most important thing is I had to win here to go through. And now I also knew if I would beat him 5-2 or 5-3, I would be top of the table. So I'm glad I did that. But yeah. He's not won anything yet. Yeah, at the top of the trip, but that doesn't mean anything. I hope so, but that's for the people to do. Do you know what I mean? I'm not going to give myself credits, because I need to make sure I'm doing this all the time.
Maybe that's what he needed. Maybe he needed to be properly up against it, and to be forced into putting a performance in or going home early against Gary Anderson. And perhaps that's what was required to light a fire a little bit.
And also the dangling of the carrot of you in 5-2, 5-3, you top the group. It just gives you that extra motivation, I guess, to go out there and perform. And bloody hell, boy, did he do that! As in, I was very impressed. As in, at the time, I didn't realise the average was that high, even though I knew he was playing well. But yeah, as you said earlier, it was a phenomenal performance.
Yeah, it really, really was impressive. Not quite true, Andy. He was, I believe, World Championship finalist 2021, I think. It is a decent length of time since we've seen Gary Anderson in a televised final, but I don't think it's 2018. I'm pretty sure he was a finalist in 2021. I think. Somebody check it in the chat room. Somebody might know better than me. I might have just made myself look a fool. I'm not too worried about Gary, because I just think, again, if you go out if you go out to 108.5 average, what can you do? I think I was more worried about Gary, like, earlier in the week when he got, well, I suppose he played very well, even though he got beat by Nico Springer. But that's a more alarming one, I think, than getting hammered with 108.5 average is like, it's not going to raise concerns too much, is it, that one? But again, an enjoyable game, enjoyable to see Michael at it like that, because again, there'll be a few players around the top of the order of merit that will have just got a reminder from that. I do think that performance will have sent a little reminder around to everybody, just to remind them who he is and what he's capable of, because there's a few people who, and they do say in their interviews that they're not scared of him anymore, and they don't worry about him. They might want to worry about him playing like that, because that is something to worry about.
100%. And I think, like we said when Price went through his blip last year, getting Price playing well is good for that. It's the same for Michael, as in, the top boys want Michael Van Gerwen playing his best because it makes them play better. And when they all have to play better, it makes better entertainment for us. So long may it continue, if you ask me.
Yes, now, next one. And this was where things got a little bit complicated. This is where any one of a number of different things could have happened, and they all had various different connotations of what could happen in the league table. And Jan van Veen started the night in that top spot, but he had Rock and Wessel Nijman sat on his shoulder. It's a bit of an interesting one, and it's one of those where, and I sort of, it was easy to feel a bit sorry for Lisa Ashton when the draw was made, and unfortunately for Jan van Veen, it's almost come down to the fact that, and we'll talk about these final two games together because it's difficult to talk about one without the other. Unfortunately for Jan, it's come down to who could get the most legs against Lisa Ashton. And, in that first game of these two quite interesting ones, Wessel Nijman, turned up, did everything that he needed to do. I think he was guaranteed to go through no matter what happened if he won 5-1. And he didn't give Lisa a single dart at a double. Lisa didn't play particularly badly. We've seen a lot worse performances than an 87 average this week. She played perfectly well. But Wessel I think he started this game knowing exactly what he had to do, and he was just racing to that finish line, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think that first leg was huge, really, because Lisa outscored him for most of that. Couldn't clean up the 47, I think she was on. And when Nijman took the 79 out on the double 11, that seemed to settle him. And from there, he just took control of the game. And even when Lisa was sitting on a double, he takes the 119 out. And yeah, it was just a very professional performance, I felt, from Nijman, knowing 5-0, 5-1 guarantees in progression. So don't let anything to chance, as in the way the results have gone tonight. You don't get the job done yourself. You risk missing out, and I felt he was good value for his victory, and just a very professional performance from what 25, 26 year olds. Like, to be fair, Lisa's had it tough because she's got 3 very good young players in the same group as her, and 3 who are hungry climbing that table. So climbing the ranking, sorry. So none of them were going to give her an inch, bless her. So
no, 3 players who I think would happily walk over a room full of upturned Lego pieces in bare feet in order to get through to the next round, wouldn't they? And they've had but what that gave us was it gave us yet another straight shootout. Winner stays on, so to speak, in that final game, which is, let's be honest, that's what we want. That's what we want at this, at the end of the round robin. Let's finish it. There's so many games where that last game, so many years that last game means nothing. So to have that very last game be, 2 of the biggest young stars in the sport battling out for that next spot, and you have to feel a little bit for Jan van Veen here becoming the only player this year to have scored 4 points. He's played a hell of a lot better than many of the players who have got through to the next round, and he's not made it. But, the task was beat Josh Rock and you are through. And of the 2 of them, Josh Rock was just able to light that fire, and he turned up to get that place, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah, again, it felt like a very nervous first leg from Josh Rock. But once he broke back, he just sort of came to life. And didn't he hit sort of, was it 3 180s and 177 in 2 legs or something? And yeah, it was just a different player then. And once he got his nose in front, there's no looking back. And it was, very good value for his win. As you say, you got a feel for Jan van Veen, who I didn't realise would have made it to number 4 in the world had he won the Grand Slam. And obviously, there's a lot of darts to play between now and that. But he'll be disappointed because he's another one who's been playing very well recently. And yeah, it's tough when you go out having won your first 2 games, and again he's averaged in his 3 games, I think, over 100 and or just about 100 over the 3 games, and not gone through. But
yeah, and these are 2 players where, and we're using the P word again, but these are 2 players who are relentlessly talked about in terms of the Premier League. So whenever they meet on telly in a major tournament and one moves through and the other one doesn't, that's going to keep coming around in a different, that's going to be revisited in 100 conversations over the next few months about the Premier League, isn't it? That's how it goes.
Oh, exactly. And shootouts like this, if somebody goes on a crazy run and wins the world, that's not maybe talked about, then it just adds another dynamic. And you never know; these games could prove to be the decider when it chooses them. Hopefully, if I was picking them, I'd pick both. But I'm not in that privileged position. But it's just exciting to watch them play against each other, and these are the sort of games that if you don't enjoy watching these, then you're probably watching the wrong sport. But yeah, it's just fair play to Rock. I felt like he probably needed the win more maybe than Jan van Veen. But
I agree with that. Yeah.
What a game of that! As in, it's been a very good year for both.
We've got a little clip. It's only a short one, but Phil did manage to get to speak to Josh Rock after that win. Let's have a see what he.
I was too fat, so I clearly had the chain stopped in my life, and I've done it. 9 weeks I've been on it, and I've lost 2 stone, 2.5 pounds inside 9 weeks. So yeah, I really need to change my life, because from whenever I joined the PDC, I was a skinny young boy, and then you come here now and you're a fat boy. So I knew I had the chains on behind the scenes, and yeah, there's benefit for it for myself.
Fair enough. Good on him.
Yeah. Played well as well, compared to him.
Well, exactly. And again, there's so much goes into this, isn't there? There's so many. What's the word? Marginal gains. So many. The marginal gains approach, and if he can get an extra 1%, 2%, 3%, again, whatever. Whether that is just that, living a slightly healthier lifestyle. Sometimes it's got nothing to do with what he weighs, but sometimes that he just might be eating healthier diet, therefore he's sleeping better. If he's sleeping better, he's getting better rest, and therefore he can practice better. And it's not. I don't think it's just a case of, well, let's be honest, darts is almost evidence for it's not purely and simply down to what you weigh on the scales. But I think, there's obviously a lot of things going on that are having a positive impact, whether that just might be on his mindset as well. So, yeah, I think it's a really good thing.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Right, so moving on to tomorrow. And I tell you what, I am very much enjoying the fact that when we get to it, it still is tomorrow and it's no longer today. It's not today. I'm all for that. A bit more of that. Don't forget to get your predictions in the chat room, folks. It is prediction time. Only 4 games tomorrow, because we are playing over a much longer format. We tomorrow go up to this is this is the biggest leap that we have from one game to the next in any PDC tournament as it develops through. So we have gone from playing, we're playing best of 31 tomorrow. So for those of you who aren't particularly, oh no, we're not. We're playing best of
19 tomorrow, is it?
19,
is it 19 tomorrow?
Yeah, 19. I know. I've got them written down all across the top. So we're up to the best of 19 tomorrow. Which for those of you again who aren't particularly good at maths, that means you've got to win 10 legs. So double the amount of legs required. We've doubled it up. So we're going to rattle through these 4 games pretty quick now. Get your predictions in the chat room, and we will come and revisit them again tomorrow to ridicule whether or not they were any good or not. So the opening game tomorrow is a second round game that lots of people may perhaps have not picked. You certainly wouldn't have picked it if it was a few months ago, because you wouldn't have thought they'd be qualified for this event. 2 qualifiers meeting each other. Luke Woodhouse and Ricky Evans. Carwin, what do you think is going to happen here?
I think it's going to be a close game, but I also think it's a huge opportunity for whoever wins this game to potentially make it to a semi-final. It's head over heart a bit with this one, because I think we all love Ricky Evans. 6 months ago, I would have said, I don't know if Ricky Evans has got the concentration in him over a long format. I feel like he is a different player, and I know we've spoken about the new love in his life and how he's sort of treating everything differently. I think he wins, but I do think it's quite close. I'm going to say 10-7 Ricky Evans.
Well, interesting that, because the line I was going to open with the exact same line as you, in saying I'm not sure whether Ricky Evans has got the concentration over this period, and I was literally, I had almost the same sort of approach. Only where I settled was, what I do know is that Luke Woodhouse definitely does. And I feel there is a definitely maybe in terms of that. But, there is, I think that there are question marks over Ricky Evans, that he's going to have to overcome something. But there's no doubt in my mind that Luke Woodhouse will turn up and average about 100 for virtually all the game, and will be really, really steady. And I think that Ricky will go up and down throughout the game. And I think if you go up and down throughout the game, yes, it's a slightly longer format, so you've got a bit of time to rattle off a couple or catch a couple up if you go off. But I just think that Luke Woodhouse will be too consistent and too steady in that game. And I'm just going to invert. I'm going to go 10-7 as well, but I'm going to go 10-7 Luke Woodhouse. In the chat room, let's have a look. Patrick has gone 10-6 Woodhouse. Daniel Lucas has gone 10-7 Woodhouse. I think it's going to be Woodhouse heavy in the chat room. Robbie B has gone 10-5 Woodhouse. Malachi has gone, he always does that to me. I'm have to read him backwards. He's gone 10-8 Ricky Evans. He's gone with Evans as well. Andy's not getting his up because he's just written 10-6, but not actually said who to. He's getting spelts on his ass off the fence he sat on. Joel has gone 10-6 for Luke Woodhouse. James, 10-7 Luke Woodhouse. So it's very Luke Woodhouse heavy in the chat room. But again, I think if you don't enjoy Ricky Evans turning up and winning a game on TV, you're probably not a darts fan. I think you're going to have to go and reflect on whether or not you should be doing something else with your evenings other than watching darts. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one tomorrow. And this is a funny game, this next one. I'll go first on this one. I don't want to keep putting you on it because I think I know where you're going to be at with this one. But I think this is a funny old game. But I have been consistently made a fool of in recent times by predicting against Gerwyn Price. And I haven't seen enough, I'm afraid, in these last few games, especially that loss to Woodhouse, where I think he was underwhelming. Yes, he beat Bunting, but I don't think he was great. I think Gezi Price is probably comfortable here. I just think Gezi and I do think Gezi might run riot. I think it'll be quite a big, and I think maybe 10-5 Gezi Price.
Yeah, I'm sort of at the moment torn with any scoreline between 10-2 and 10-8 to Gerwyn Price.
And are you with me that you think that what dictates that is not Martin Schindler?
Yeah.
I think I tend to agree. And that's I went in the middle and said 10-5. And that was because I was thinking the same. I thought, I'll just go in the middle. Yeah,
because it all comes down to Price's mood when he's got to throw those doubles. Because we've seen 100% performance on the doubles against James Wade. And we've also seen not so accurate on the doubles against Stefan Belmont. But I can't see Schindler coping with the relentless scoring from Price. So I'm going to say 10-4 Price.
Yeah, I think having a quick glance through the chat room, I think we're going to be fairly comprehensive. I think so. Patrick's in with a 10-5 price victory. Andy's in with 10-7. Joel's gone 10-7. Gezi Price. Robbie's in 10-4. Dan Lucas is 10-4 as well, all for Gezi Price. James has gone 10-6. Maximus has gone 10-6. Malachi's gone 10-6. The Greatest Showman has gone 10-6. There's an awful lot of coherence here. Daz has gone 10-8. He's gone with further back. He's behind. He must be watching on a delay. And João Pereira has gone 10-8, Gezi Price. So a clean sweep. Nobody is picking Shindy in the chat room, which, if history tells us anything, means you know where to put your 50 pence tomorrow with your bookmaker of choice. Hang on, Daz is in late. He's gone Schindler 10-5. Well, good evening, Daz. Welcome. I think Daz is in late because he's been in the pub. I think that's right. I think it's 20 minutes after closing time. I think that explains a lot. Right, game number 3 tomorrow, and again. In fact, it's you first, isn't it? So I don't have to worry about being asked.
Yeah, I'm not as generous here. I think it could be anything between 10-1 and 10-5, Luke Humphries. And that's not sort of not wanting to disrespect Van der Velde. I just think Luke Humphries, when it matters, he does something special on a dartboard, and I feel like tomorrow's the time to start ramping it up if he wants his hands on the Grand Slam. I think he wins 10-3.
Yeah. That's about where I was at as well. I feel like it's going to be a bit sort of men against boys, I'm afraid, and I'm trying to be kind because, Jeroen Van der Velde, as you know, he has done himself a great deal of justice this week. He's played very, very well. I think the victory over Damon Heta, I think Damon Heta beat Damon Heta. That's the problem there.
Yeah.
And I think that, again, he's bumped into Martin Lukeman, who's a mile away from his best, a country mile away from his best. A Damon Heta who has underperformed in that match. I don't know. I'm going to have to go. This is boring, but I can't. I'm struggling to give him more than 3, and I think if I give him less than 3, I'm being a bit of a dick. So I'm going to give him, I think 10-3 Humphries is a very, and you know what, looking down the chat room sort of quickly, I think that there's probably going to be an awful lot of people about the same on that one. I just think the world number 1 turns up and does what the world number 1 does. I just think that's what he's going to do. I think he wants to keep hold of that title. I think he knows that he's got to outperform he's got to win it pretty much to keep hold of that title. So yeah, I think he's going to turn up and boss it. Robbie's in early again, as always. He's got a 10-4 Humphries victory. Daz not as tight or not as comprehensive. He's gone 10-6. Daniel Lucas has gone 10-2. Luke Humphries. Joel is here 10-3. Maximus 10-2. Patrick is 10-3. Malachi 10-3 as well. João Pereira is 10-4. Greatest Showman 10-3. James is in with a 10-5. Yeah, I think even then, and I think when we have that much of a similar view from everybody, I'll have me, go and stick your 50 pence on the opposite, but I'm not going to give that advice this time around. I think there is only one outcome, I think, on that one. And from a game in which there is only one possible outcome to another game in which there is only one possible outcome, in my opinion. Chris Dobie against Michael Smith. It's my turn to go first. How many legs do I give Michael Smith? Is the question. Because I think Chris Dobie wins this handsomely. I'm going to give him 5. I'm going 10-5 for Chris Dobie. I think that I almost think that Michael Smith might have may run out of gas a little bit, because I think he's had such a sort of turbulent few days with the emotion of overcoming that, getting that win on TV, or first of all qualifying for the event and being here in the first place, getting that win over Nathan Aspinall. Obviously, we got a bit of a read, I think, against Luke Humphries as to where he's competing, and we are seeing a consistent level from him in terms of, it's an 88 average and an 87 average, and then he's done that 90 against Alex Spellman. I think we've got a good measure of to where Michael Smith is at. And I think for Chris Dobie, he's just in a much better place. I think, the average against Martin Lukeman was sort of destroyed by a leg of hilarious doubling and faffing about. But I think he's probably 5 to 10 points ahead of where Michael Smith's game is at in terms of mean average over the course of a number of games. And I just don't think Smith puts him under any pressure. I think the key to beating Chris Dobie is a beatable player at the minute, as much as it frustrates me when he is. He's a beatable player when you pressurise his doubles. And I just don't think Michael Smith will do that often enough to stop him.
No, I'm with you. And I think as well, yes, Michael Smith's made it out of the group, but Aspinall underperformed. Alex Spellman didn't really turn up, as in he hasn't had to do something special to make it out of the group, and that's nothing against him. You can only play what's in front of you. You can only beat what's in front of you. But I just think Dobie at the moment is playing a better standard of darts, and I can only see one winner myself, and that being Chris Dobie. How many did you give Michael Smith?
5.
I'll give him 6. But yeah.
5 holes of throw, I think, as well.
Yeah, I can't see him getting close on the Dobie throw. I think he hits too many trebles, but it's been a good run for him. It's what he needed, but I think it comes to an end tomorrow night.
All right, let's have a little look in the chat room for the final time this evening. Who is in first? Daniel Lucas. 10-6 Dobie seems very wise. Patrick Cav, 10-3 Dobie. If it's a comfortable night like that, I'll be a happy man on tomorrow evening's Fallout Bar. Malachi has gone 10-6. Michael Smith, bold pick, that, very bold. Robbie B has done Dobie 10-6, as has Maximus. It's a popular one because there we see again, James has gone 10-6. Hollywood Joel is 10-8. Grit Showman has gone bold as well. He has gone Michael Smith 10-6 victory. Andy Bossman 10-9 Smith. He'll relax. I'll tell you who won't be relaxed if it's a 10-9 Michael Smith win. Me on the Fallout Bar tomorrow. If I'm on this show 10 minutes after that happens, do not expect me to be relaxed at all. Expect me to be poured myself a very large glass of wine by the time I sit down for this show. How Pereira has gone Dobie winning 10-7. And Nicholas Merrill is in late with the last one with a bully boy 10-8 win. Again, I will be a very stressed man when I start the show tomorrow night, if that is the case. Good question. Who's on with me tomorrow? I'm not sure, to be honest. Are you here tomorrow, Carwin? Are we seeing you tomorrow?
I think so, yeah. I've got pub darts, but should be done early enough tomorrow night. It's a much closer setback than last night.
I think Cam might be around tomorrow as well. So there's half a chance that we get 3 of us on tomorrow, which will be good fun, because we've not done that for a little while, have we? That'll be good fun indeed. Right, folks. Thank you very much. About almost a square hour. That was quite nice. Off nice and early and in time. Bed before midnight. What more can you ask for? Thank you all again for your crack and banter in the chat room and your predictions and everything else. Thank you very much, Carwin, for joining us from over in Wales. I have been Dan Simpson. This has been the Online Darts Fallout Bar at the end of day 4 of the 2025 PDC Grand Slam of Darts. We will be back at the same time tomorrow. Good night.